incarnate deity, pleases man with men to dwell. Jesus our Emmanuel, pleases man with men to dwell. Jesus our Emmanuel.
So I don't know about you. I feel sorry for Zechariah. I often feel sorry for Zechariah whenever I get to his part of the story. I didn't read the earlier part of the story today, so maybe I should just recap it for you. Before 9 months, clearly, before John the Baptist is born, an angel appears to Zechariah and tells him that him and his wife, Elizabeth, are going to have a child. But the thing with Zechariah and Elizabeth is that they are very, very old. They're way past the age at which they as a couple could ever hope or expect to have a child. But there's this angel in front of Zechariah telling him that this amazing thing is going to happen. And Zechariah just doesn't believe it. He can't believe it. And the angel just says, well, you've got to believe it, it's true. But because you didn't believe you, I'm going to take your voice away from you for the next sort of 9 months. You're not going to be able to speak. I just really feel for this guy. Like, him and his wife, they've been waiting, hoping for a child, like probably for the whole of their lives, It's a big thing even in our own society, isn't it? When a couple can't have children and they want to. It was a much bigger thing, if that's possible, back in the New Testament times. Like, your whole identity at that time was built on the fact that you would have children, and if you didn't, people in the world just looked down on you. So you can imagine that Zechariah and Elizabeth, they have been hoping for this for the whole of their life. But you can imagine too that they will have had moments where they hoped and thought that this was going to happen for them, and it didn't. And then maybe they hoped and thought that it was going to happen for them again, and it didn't. And it didn't, and it kept not happening. And so I'm not sure so much as is it that Zechariah doesn't believe the angel, or that he just doesn't dare to believe the angel. Have you ever had that thing where you've hoped for something and you've been disappointed, and you've hoped and you've been disappointed, and then you get to the point where you don't dare hope anymore because you just can't stand the disappointment anymore? It's too much for you, yeah? And then maybe that thing happens, but you can't allow yourself to admit to the fact that it's happening. Because to do so, you think, well, I'm just letting myself, what if I'm mistaken again? What if we get, what if it gets so far and it goes, I won't allow myself. I just think that might be where Zechariah was. I feel really sorry for him. And I feel particularly kind of, because of this, it's like what the angel does to him, almost punishing him. It seems saying, you're going to be silent now. I'm not going to allow you to speak. It seems a little bit harsh, doesn't it? I've been trying to think about it. What exactly is it that's going on here? What's the angel doing? Is it a punishment? I'm not sure. Maybe it's that because Zechariah, he's not in the place where, if he's in a place of doubt, and then he's going to go out from this encounter with the angel and talk to other people about it, what exactly is he going to say? He's only going to be able to spread his doubts about this thing amongst others. So maybe it's something like damage limitation as far as the angel's concerned. It's I'm not going to let you talk about this until you're ready to talk about it. Yeah? And maybe in that it's not just damage limitation from the point of view of the angel. Maybe it's almost a little work of grace here. That it's you know what, Zechariah, you're going to struggle with this, and you need time to sit with it and to sit with God and to process it and come to some kind of understanding with God on this. And until you're ready, You're going to be relieved from the burden of having to speak about it. Yeah, just go home and be with your wife, and you will see what you will see. I just know from my own perspective, when I've been in that place of hoping and not daring to hope, I just need to sit sometimes. I just need to be with God and let him deal with me first. And it's only after I've gone through that process that I'm ready, that I can even begin to talk to other people about this work that it is that God is doing in my life. Anyway, whatever it is, after the 9 months have gone by and Zechariah's got used to writing things down on a tablet whenever he wants to say anything, when finally, after the birth, the day of taking John for circumcision, when that day finally comes, it's almost as if he's ready, yeah? It's like a cork has been released from a champagne bottle. And this thing that he's been working through with God over so many weeks and months, he's there now. He's ready to talk about it. And it's just his words pour forth. And the words of scriptures from long ago and the promises that he now sees God really has fulfilled in his life. And it just wells up in a psalm of praise and thanksgiving to God. It's a wonderful thing, isn't it? Yeah? Have you ever been there? That after so much hoping, after so much disappointment, after so much waiting, after a promise is given and then finally it is fulfilled, you can't help but praise God. It's we're back with Mary again, aren't we? At the Magnificat last week, where it's the soul's only natural recourse when having had a true encounter with God, to lift yourself to him in praise and adoration. It's a wonderful thing. But do you know the most wonderful thing about Zechariah's sort of psalm of praise? Do you know the most wonderful thing, at least it is from my perspective, is that, listen to it. What does he talk about? What does he say to God? What does he say to the people? Is he talking about, oh wow, look at me, I've got this amazing baby, isn't this a gift? He doesn't talk about himself at all. In fact, he barely talks about the baby. He doesn't really talk about the gift. All he's interested in is what? God. What God has done. Everything, every word that he speaks is well, this is what God has told us in the past, and look, this thing that he's doing to me, it's just it's a fulfillment of that huge long promise that we've got. And look, this son that I've got, well, it's not really about him anyway. It's what is it about? It's about the one that he's going to be pointing us to. It's all about God. It's in all his own personal celebration and wonder and praise, Zechariah has understood the point. Yeah? To give it today's terms, he's remembered the reason for the season. He's understood what Christmas is all about, right? What's it about? It's about God. It's about what God is fulfilling for us through his Son, Jesus. Yeah, it's interesting. Does anyone, this is a bit of a sidebar here, does anyone know what the difference between human beings and chimpanzees is? You weren't expecting that as a question, were you? Shall I ask it again so that you can catch up with it? Okay. Does anyone here know what the difference between chimpanzees and humans is? Anyone? Fingerprints. Oh, you're going off the clue up there. Yeah, I thought I'd updated my slides. It should just at this point be a picture of a chimpanzee. But anyway, it's not fingerprints. No, although it is to do with fingers. Actually, look, let's face it. There are many, many differences between human beings and chimpanzees, all right? We're just completely different creatures. However, they're similar to us in some ways. But in one particular way, they are very different. And that's that if I was to do that, okay, if I was to point, well, you're being like chimpanzees right now, but if I was to point at the back like that, what should you naturally do? Yeah. Look at what? Ah, what I'm pointing at. But you're being chimpanzees. What do chimpanzees do when you point? They look at your finger. Yeah? They look at your finger. Yeah, if it's bizarre, isn't it? But human beings instinctively know that if you point at something, you shouldn't look at the finger, you should look at what they're pointing at. Chimpanzees, look at your finger. They quite literally miss the point. Okay? That's what they do. That's why we've got a picture of a pointing finger up there. Yeah, chimpanzees miss the point. Human beings naturally, instinctively get the point. At least we do with material things. We do with literal pointing. But do you know what? With spiritual things, I think we're a little bit more like chimpanzees. Okay? I think with spiritual things, and we tend to miss the point a lot. Yeah? We do it all the time. And we do it especially at Christmas time. Yeah? What do we do at Christmas time? Well, we get all excited, don't we? And we get all kind of focused in on Christmas traditions, yeah? And coming to church and singing our favourite songs, our favourite Christmas carols, yeah? We celebrate these things. We get caught up in them. And we just love a nice Christmas service, whatever that is. It probably means, what is a nice Christmas service? It's the service that you've been to 1,000 times before, isn't it? That's a nice Christmas service. It has all the songs you've sung before. It has all the readings you've heard before. It has a message that you've probably heard before as well. It's just comfortable. It's just nice. Yeah? We love these things. And look, there's nothing wrong in any of these things. Yeah? They're good things in a way. But when we focus on them, what are we doing? I think it's like we're looking at the finger, aren't we? Because all these things are supposed to be things that point us towards something else, right? But we look at the finger. We look at the tradition, and we look at the carols, and we look at the nice services, and we think, that was a good Christmas, or that was a rubbish Christmas. We didn't have my favourite carol, or whatever it was. We miss the point. What are these things supposed to be pointing us towards? Well, the fact that God decided that he was not going to stay in heaven, aloof from us all, but rather that he would come down to fix the broken relationship that exists between us and him. That he would come as a human being, that he would walk beside us, talk to us, show to us the way to live, and then die for us, in order that we might be raised with him to eternal life. That's the point, isn't it? It's not just Christmas, though, that we miss the point with. Actually, we do it all the time with spiritual things, okay? Like great sermons like this one, You're going to talk about this after. You're going to say, Neil, he was on fire today, or something like that. No, you're not. You're going to say, he talked about chimpanzees. That was just really weird. But great sermons. We love it when someone preaches a great sermon, don't we? We kind of get all geared up by it. Like we get fired up. Yeah? Or gifted preachers. When you find that person that seems to be able to speak like truth into your life, and it's like we put them on a pedestal all the time. We like to go and hear the great speakers. We go to conferences, or we invite them to come to us. It's like, it's going to be a good Sunday. We've got so-and-so talking to us today. Yeah? Or growing churches. We love to see the church grow, don't we? New people coming in through the door, all that sort of stuff. Aren't we a success? Haven't we done something well? It must be the songs we're singing, or we must have had some nice service. Well, I don't know what it is that's bringing them in, but guys, it's good, right? But we miss the point. We miss the point. It's like it's not about filling your head up with new ideas, and hearing a wonderful inspirational speech. It's not about having the most, the latest speaker, the person who's, the most gifted. It's not about that. It's not even about filling the building with people. Not that there's anything wrong with any of these things, and we want to see people come into the building. But what is the point of all of these things? What do these things direct us towards? Or what should they be directing us towards if they are rightly done? Well, it's the fact that salvation comes from the Lord, isn't it? Yeah. That it's nothing that the preacher says. Yeah, it's not the sermon. It's not that people are inspired to come to our church because there's something great going on here. Okay? But it's that, through that preacher, through that sermon, that people have heard God calling to them. Lifting them up out of the depths of their own darkness and into his glorious light. It's the fact that we can receive his light because he has done what he has done for us through Jesus Christ, his Son. It's not about us. It's about him. That's the point. But even we can go higher than those things because those are quite earthly things, right? There are much more what we might think of as being significant spiritual things of which we miss the point. Things like answered prayers, and miracles, and ecstatic worship, those moments where it really does feel like you are in direct communion with God. Yeah, we get these things wrong all the time. We miss the point. We make it our ambition to gain these things, but these things are just things that are pointing us towards something else. Yeah? And you might say, well, in what way is it not about miracles? Well, surely. But if you want to understand miracles, what you've got to understand is that miracles, like Jesus does them, doesn't he, all the time? Yeah? But the miracles are never about the miracles. And Jesus gets quite kind of annoyed with his disciples, the people who are following him, when they're just demanding miracles all the time. He's like, no, I'm not going to give you a miracle if that's what you're asking for. Because what are the miracles for? They're just pointers. They're just signs. They're things to say, look, this is what Jesus is like. This is who he is. This is what God is like. They're pointing you towards something else. And what are they revealing to you about him? What are they showing? Well, they're showing that the power and the glory and the majesty and the mercy and the love and the goodness and the grace, they belong to him. They belong to him and no one else. And the same goes for, answered prayers in our own lives. It's just a sign to us that isn't God good? Right? Isn't he good? And when he comes to us in that moment of worship, don't get hung up on the moment of worship, but just understand that it's pointing you towards the goodness of God. So the wonderful thing is that this is what Zechariah understands. Yeah? He understands it, that it's not about him. It's all about God. And the truly wonderful thing is that his son understands it too. Like John the Baptist who, can you imagine growing up with that kind of thing hanging over your head that you wouldn't grow up to think that it was about you? How many child prodigies do we see in this world that, the Michael Jacksons, that kind of, it goes horribly wrong for them, doesn't it? Because they have everything, but they think that it's about them, and it all ends up really rather sad in the end. And yet John, at the end, is very, very, very clear indeed. It's not about him, is it? No, there's one greater than him, the thongs of whose sandals he is not worthy to untie. It's not about him. It's about Jesus. And that's really all I want to say to you this morning, is that we need to keep remembering, yes, during this time of Christmas, But through every other part of our lives, whenever we think that we've got it in worship, or whenever we think that the church is doing well, or whenever we're really glad because we've had a good service, or we've sung our favourite song, or we've had an answer to prayer, or there's been a miracle, remember, it's not about you, it's not about me, it's not about us, it's not about this church. Yeah? But we are here for one reason and one reason only, in order that we might point the finger outwards and say, nah, it's not about us. It's about God. It's about Jesus. It's about what God has done through Jesus for us.